Well, the weekend comes along, and so does Michael Snyder, and he's got a package full of films, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Alex, and hey, everybody. Hello from Los Angeles, where the weather's heating up, and so is Hollywood. It's summertime, and the blockbusters are rolling out week after week, and oh, look what's here. It's Cars 3. Do you remember those old Merry Melodies and Happy Harmonies cartoons from the 30s? I mean, when I was a kid, they had them on local TV in the afternoon cartoon block, and I kind of remembered one that featured cars as the citizens in a society of nothing but vehicles, and there were like a ton of gags relating to the idea of sentient cars living together. And, you know, when you're a kid of 8 or 9, wow, it's amusing for about 5 minutes. And then the jokes wear off. So now we have a third extravagantly animated installment in Disney and Pixar's Cars franchise about anthropomorphic vehicles living in a world just like ours, but different because, you know, no humans. So it's just cars that talk and live, and cars that race, because, hell, they're cars. Do they eat and have sex? How do they procreate and produce little cars and little trucks? And why is there a herd of cows in Cars 3? Cows that are all tractors that are incapable of speech, while one of the main characters in these movies, Tow Mater the redneck tow truck, and mercifully on the sidelines for much of this one, can talk, albeit in the ignorant voice of racist and sexist comedian Larry the Cable Guy. I mean, do the tractor cows give milk or like, what, 10W40 motor oil? Nobody cares because kids apparently love these films, and they've been very big box office hits despite being the most lowbrow and tedious of the entire Pixar filmography, although The Good Dinosaur was kind of feeble. This used car, if you will, like the others, stars the voice of Owen Wilson as swaggering racer Lightning McQueen, whose career as a track champion is in danger now from newer, sleeker, faster race cars that will do anything to win. So that means brutal carnage on the track in a family film. So the questions start, dare I say, piling up. Will McQueen eventually triumph over the new rivals? How will his aspirational female tech expert figure in this when all she really wants to do is race? What do McQueen and his wife do in their garage when they're alone at night? I believe the champ is now married to that hot little compact sports vehicle, Sally, voiced once more by Bonnie Hunt. And besides Wilson, Hunt, and the horrifying Cable Guy, returning voice actors from the previous movies include Tony Shalhoub and Cheech Marin. They also brought in Kerry Washington, Nathan Fillion, Cristela Alonso, and as the arrogant new champ, Jackson Storm Armie Hammer. People want to be in these films. But how did the producers convince the estate of the late, great Paul Newman to reuse his voice as McQueen's racing mentor from earlier in the franchise? Maybe like a big contribution to Newman's charity. In any case, that's the one good thing that came out of this. I mean, the bottom line is it's a skosh better than Cars 2, inferior to the first Cars movie, which I didn't like much either. The technical expertise that Pixar puts on display in these films is jaw-droppingly beautiful. And some of the sight gags, especially the little ones, are very clever. But mostly the movies are an endless set of like really lame car gags and puns. So let me close out by saying Cars 3 is a sputtering clunker that should be towed to the junkyard. It's flat, the kind of flat no one can fix with a spare. When it was over, I was exhausted. Get it? You know, like an exhaust. In any case, Pixar owes me something as good as Inside Out or Ratatouille after I suffered through this. Not a big fan of the Cars movies, plain and simple. I don't know what you feel about them. You're an animation aficionado. Did you like any of them,
No,
Alex?
No, I didn't.
They're kind of disappointing, man. Anyway, mildly disappointing is Rough Night, which is a wild comedy, and read wild as R-rated, about a group of female friends who have to deal with the death of a male stripper they hired for a bachelorette party in Miami. Okay, they pulled together some funny ladies here. The cast features Scarlett Johansson, Scarlett Johansson, Zoe Kravitz, but at least there's Kate McKinnon, Jillian Bell, and Ilana Glazer. from Broad City. Demi Moore also plays a small role in this. These gals are funny for the most part, minus Scarlett Johansson, who's cute. Anyway, this is a female-centric version of the Hangover movies, and to be more exact, it's more like the bastard child of the Hangover movies and Bridesmaids, but it misfires a lot. The comparisons to those other movies are not good for Rough Night. The Johansson character is about to get married. She's also running for office. So if anything untoward happens on the bachelorette party getaway, she's screwed professionally. And, of course, something awful happens. Anyway, the talented comedians in this thing strain and strain, but it's only intermittently funny, mostly due to the efforts of those real comics in the cast. It's actually directed and co-authored by a woman, Lucia Aniello, which proves that women can make, half-ass comedies that are, on the vulgar side as well as men. Well, maybe not even, because I thought Bridesmaids and the first Hangover movie were better. Okay, Maudie is kind of a bummer. Sally Hawkins and Ethan Hawke team up in a drama based on the true story of a very optimistic but arthritic Nova Scotia housekeeper turned beloved artist Maud Lewis, the Maudie of the title. And this is also about the unlikely romance between her and a hardened reclusive bachelor who's really a handful. He's bitter. I'd never want to spend 10 minutes with this guy, let alone move in with him. But maybe she didn't have much options in Nova Scotia. This is incredibly downbeat. It's very gray. It's gritty. It's all about realism. And it's so dark that it can be kind of a wearying experience. But damn, Sally Hawkins is a fantastic actress. And she gives award-worthy work here as Maudie. And Hawke is good, too. You can't stand the guy. I have to say, as these kind of films go, this is very well done, but it's heartbreaking to sit through and watch what goes down for this wonderful, eager but handicapped woman. The director, Aileen Walsh, did terrific work. It was written by Sherry White. Big thumbs up. Kudos to them for their work, but this is not going to be for everyone. Again, it's pretty damn harsh. Okay, I love good science fiction, and there's certainly ambition to Kill Switch, which is a film basically about a guy, a scientist-type guy, who's trying to save his family and the Earth by going from one dimension to a parallel world just like ours and somehow getting his hands on a box. This is some kind of mumbo-jumbo. Anyway, there are interesting visuals, but after a while, all the time-shifting and first-person point-of-view shots, because it's very much from our hero's POV, they lose their novelty, and we're left with a very strange and convoluted alternative universe tale that's truly a video game quest in feature film guise, with about as much genuine emotional weight and investment as one might have playing a video game. I mean, it's kinetic. There's stuff going on screen constantly, and it's hard to not be kind of wrapped up in it, at least to a certain extent, but ultimately, meh. The hero of it is played by David Haller. Dan Stevens as the lead. We hear him a lot, but seldom see him, except in mirrors, CCTV footage, flashbacks, and flash forwards. And he's been doing great work, all kidding aside, from the time he left Downton Abbey. I really enjoy Legion. He's been terrific in that, and I wish him well. And this obviously must have amused and entertained him when he read the script. I thought, well, this is provocative. It just really doesn't work. Tim Smith is the director, and I think, he may have good things ahead of him, certainly in the visual effects end, but this is not one of those good things. Okay, the disappointments continue with Once Upon a Time in Venice. Bruce Willis is Steve Ford in this movie. He's a laconic ex-cop turned private investigator in Venice, California, the one by the sea in California, not the really romantic one in Italy. Thomas Middleditch of Silicon Valley plays Ford's nerdy wannabe assistant. John Goodman is Ford's best buddy, an ex-surfing star dealing with a divorce. And Jason Momoa is the heavy here, a local drug kingpin who has Ford's beloved little doggy. Yeah, that's what this is about, his beloved little doggy. Ford will do anything to get the pup back, and the result is a substandard crime comedy that's too dull and turgid to excite with its hackneyed, quasi-Tarantino approach, and doesn't generate any laughter because all the jokes are kind of heavy-handed, chuckle-free gags with politically incorrect depictions of Latinos, blacks, and transgendered characters. They just don't work. There are some talented people here. I mean, a few of them are wasted in ineffective sort of blink and you'll miss them cameos. Let me think. Who's in this thing, for instance? Oh, Famke Janssen, Adam Goldberg, Cal Penn, and obviously Momoa Goodman and Middleditch. Wow. I have to tell you, Bruce Willis apparently can no longer open a film on his own, and if you need proof of that, and he couldn't do it with help from the likes of Goodman, if you need proof, here you go, direct-to-video, Once Upon a Time in Venice. It's a heartbreaker, buddy. I kind of wish it was better, and it's not. On the other hand, The Journey is pretty wonderful in terms of its performances, and its idea is exciting. It's a fictionalized account of the first one-on-one interaction between two sworn enemies on either side of the long and bloody conflict in Northern Ireland at the point when the factions were kind of on the verge of brokering peace. It's presuming what may have happened on a car ride during October of 2006 when Ian Paisley, who was like a Protestant minister and leader of the pro-British Democratic Unionist Party, met Martin McGuinness, a Catholic politician and spokesperson for the IRA-backed Sinn Féin party, for the very first time. I mean, these guys had struggled and been in opposition for years, but they had never met. But the British and Irish governments pulled them together with UK Prime Minister at the time, Tony Blair, among these people, trying to help broker the peace, and they finally meet. In any event, this is a very cool movie in my book. The actors playing these two pivotal characters, Timothy Spall as the tightly wound, God-fearing true believer Paisley, and Colm Meaney as the earthier, more genial and pragmatic McGuinness, are at the top of their games. Spall was known mostly for his stuff in Mike Leigh's movies and the Harry Potter films. Colm Meaney has been in The Commitments, Layer Cake, some of the Star Trek movies. They're wonderful in this movie. Directed by Nick Ham, written by Colin Bateman. And yeah, people are going to bitch. We don't really know what happened when these guys first met. But the movie does a wonderful job of drawing you in. I just thought it was fun and exciting. Let's wrap it up with Lost in Paris. Filmmaking partners, a Belgian clown named Dominique Abel and a very limber Canadian comedian named Fiona Gordon have been making movies for a while. They've been married for a while. And these movies are these charming, wacky comedies that are much closer to the work of Jacques Tati and Buster Keaton than anything I've seen in years. And so is Lost in Paris, their latest, which I thoroughly enjoyed. In essence, it follows the odyssey of Fiona, who's like a shy, reserved, small-town Canadian woman. And she's on her way to Paris to see her elderly aunt, but she can't find the old girl, who is reluctant to be put into a nursing home. Anyway, Fiona finds herself in a fix, and then another fix, and yet another one. And there's a resourceful bum that she meets along the way who makes matters worse. He, of course, is played by Abel. There's a lot of classic-style slapstick here, and it's well done for the most part. And it's mostly set in modern-day Paris, which is another plus. I enjoyed Lost in Paris. Subtitles, but still, it was sweet. And that's it in movie land. I didn't have time to see, nor was I invited to see, the Tupac Shakur documentary, All Eyes on Me. The shark attacks a couple of tourist movie, 47 Meters Down. The Book of Henry, third film that wasn't available for viewing this past week, but, that's a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
TV, what are you watching, man?
All I'm watching is Oliver Stone's interviews with Vladimir Putin, which is fascinating. So that's about it.
There's crazy stuff in the world, but, you can get away at the movies. Then not a lot of choices this weekend, but stick with us.
Okay. And that about winds it up for now. Tell them where they can find you, Michael.
I'm on Twitter at Culture Blaster and on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page. You can check us out there.
Okay. And there's more GABNet coming right up.